Wrestling Podcast with your hosts from Shadow Valley and the Smoky Mountains. The one, the only, the Mountain Man, Spike Shadow.
And welcome to the Juice Wrestling Podcast with the Mountain Man, Spike Von Shadow. How is everybody doing today? Finally, the heat has calmed down. It's still hot, but it's not blistering, so that's positive. So how is everybody out there? If you're listening to this on YouTube, I've had a pretty wacky week when it comes to wrestling. I got here at the Juice, we talk about the latest and greatest things going on in professional wrestling. I've dropped sports entertainment. We're covering professional wrestling here, okay? WWE, New Japan, Ring of Honor, Lucha Underground, Impact. I'm covering it all. Especially starting next week, I'm going to be covering Ring of Honor, going to be covering Impact and Lucha Underground. So stay tuned for that. In other words, here at the Juice, we talk about who's got the juice and who doesn't got the juice and who is the juice in professional wrestling, or who's hot, who's not, and who's burning it down. Okay. Today we're going to be covering this week's Smackdown Live, one of the most probably depressing Smackdown Lives. Now, if you've been paying attention to the Juice, you've been listening to my Juice podcast, you know I usually have quite a bit of good things to say about SmackDown. I think Raw is utter trash. It's Roman's awful wrestling program with special guest Seth Rollins. So 2 hours of Roman's awful wrestling, and then in the main event we get Monday Night Rollins. So today we're going to be talking about SmackDown Live, and we're also going to be talking about the announcement of the G1 supercard coming next April, and the implications of that. And the fact that WWE is going to need to be on their toes, because this event is going to happen the day before WrestleMania. It's going to be happening at the NXT on the same day as the NXT TakeOver. So, and we're going to be talking about all the ramifications of that pay-per-view and the future of professional wrestling, and how we might be on the verge of a new Monday Night Wars. Maybe not Monday Night Wars like WCW and WWF back in the day, but from what I've been hearing from the Kenny Omega camp and the Young Bucks camp and everything from New Japan, WWE better watch themselves, because New Japan just might take over wrestling in 2019. But we'll get to that shortly. We'll get to that here in a bit. Start things off today. Also, I wanted to bring up, I'm going to give you my predictions for Extreme Rules happening this Sunday. So, also so we're going to get to a little bit of news. To start things off, as we always do here at The Juice, we'll get to the New Japan supercard stuff here shortly. Okay. As I talked about on the last episode of The Juice, you can check that out on my YouTube channel. You can also check me out on Facebook at the Mountain Man Spike Pond Chatham. JR was recently injured at this G1 special. And he was at ringside, and Ross revealed on his Twitter that he took a bump at ringside and it was not part of the show at all. He believes he broke a rib because he couldn't pull his bag away in the overhead locker on the flight home and had trouble sleeping. So our best wishes go out to good old JR. Also this week, Michigan-born Kevin Nash turns 59 this week. If you're an old school wrestling fan like myself, you remember him when he was Diesel, or when he was in WCW as Kevin Nash. I don't know, I thought he was alright. In other news, Ric Flair undergoes successful surgery. Ric Flair underwent successful surgery on Monday to reverse ileotomy surgery. It was also noted that the WWE Hall of Famer should be in the hospital through this week. So our prayers go out to good old Ric Flair, styling and profiling. Also this week, it was revealed that WWE's 2K19 will not be releasing on the Switch. 2K has confirmed that WWE will only be released for Xbox One, PlayStation 4, and the PC in October. 2K recently issued the following: WWE 2K19 will not be available on Nintendo Switch. 2K is focused on making the best possible experience for WWE 2K fans and will continue evaluating all opportunities to deliver the franchise across additional platforms. I think that's bullshit, but whatever. I think you should put it on, especially there's a lot of Nintendo fans out there, myself included, that would love to see 2K19 on the Switch. Well, that just gives me another reason not to buy a Nintendo Switch. So, in other news, let's see here. See what else we got. Tyson Kidd turns 38 this week. He's married to Natalia. Yeah, he was wrestling in the WWE for a while, and then I don't know, he was out with an injury, and we just haven't seen him since. So, also Caitlyn, former WWE star. WWE sent out the following: after more than 4 years away from WWE, former Divas champion Caitlyn will make her in-ring return this summer when she competes in the 2018 Mae Young Classic. If you checked out the last Mae Young Classic, one of my favorites, Kairi Sane, the Pirate Princess of NXT, won that over the Queen of Spades, Shayna Baszler. Which also was reported by ESPN, makes Caitlyn the first official participant to be revealed for this year's 32-woman tournament. Alrighty, what else is going on? Oh, Ronda won't watch Lesnar versus DC. In a quick interview with TMZ Sports, Ronda declared Cormier the best fighter in the UFC today. She also said that she probably won't watch the fight between Lesnar and DC because she's friends with both men. And I wouldn't pick a winner. She stated, I hate watching friends of mine fight. It's heart-wrenching. You know what's heart-wrenching to me? The fact that Brock Lesnar still hasn't showed up with the Universal title on Monday Night Raw in months. We haven't seen his ass since the Greatest Royal Rumble. Speaking of the Beast, Brock Lesnar turns 41 this week. Also, the list of birthdays. Yeah, we've got, just let everybody know at home, we got quite a bit of birthdays this week. Hurricane Helms turns 44. He was Helms is a comic book fan, and one of his favorite characters is Green Lantern. He has a tattoo on his biceps, which is the Lantern's logo, and his original WWE character, the Hurricane, was inspired by the Green Lantern. Out of action until 2019, Sami Zayn turns 34 this week. Update on WWE's plans for Brock Lesnar. According to Dave Meltzer, Vince McMahon decided not to mention Brock Lesnar's UFC 226 appearance on Raw, as Vince says is adamant in creating the idea that Lesnar has walked out, is going to the UFC, turned his back on the WWE fans, and isn't coming back to drop the title and holding up the belt. It should be noted that Lesnar is under contract through at least the end of August and is currently being advertised for the Raw after SummerSlam. Wow. Also, former WWE star X-Pac turns 46 this week. Rey Mysterio is returning to New Japan. That's not really a shock. The last few months, he was at Dominion. He's been wrestling off and on with New Japan. And especially he's going to be in the G1 Climax starting tomorrow, actually. Starting July 14th. So also stay tuned to the Juice. I will be covering day to day. I might do every other day. I don't know, either every day or every other day. I'm going to be covering the G1 Climax. Bubba Ray Dudley turns 47, and in the last bit of news, before we get to the big G1 Supercard news and Smackdown, Paul Heyman working as a WWE writer? According to Fightful.com, Paul Heyman was listed as a writer on the production sheet for Raw, and was also listed as a road writer, implying that the former ECW owner will travel with the WWE in his new role. Despite this week's Raw receiving the lowest viewership in Raw history, it is believed Heyman will revitalize the brand due to his prior experience writing for WWE television. So, I think to myself, well, hell, do whatever the hell you got to do to get this product back up and running. Do whatever the fuck you got to do to make this shit better, because this shit is garbage. So, now let's get to Smackdown this week. All I gotta say is this before we get into Smackdown. Hopefully, Paul Heyman can bring some life to Raw, because whatever they're doing right now, whatever Paul Heyman could do will be a hell of a lot better than what's going on, currently. So, So we start out with a segment with Team Hell No, which, I don't know, maybe to a lot of you out there, when Team Hell No came back, you guys were like, ah, Team Hell No, Kane, man, Daniel Bryan. I don't know. I was like, well, let's see where it goes. Let's see where it goes. And in this first opening segment, we got The Miz stirring the pot. And we also got a possible feud coming in the near future with Daniel Bryan and The Miz, in which The Miz goes to show a video package about Team Hell No's greatest moments, which ended up being some of their worst moments, and Daniel Bryan getting tombstoned everywhere, and Kane almost abducting Brie, and a lot of fighting and bickering amongst two, because Miz is out there just trying to create shit. He's just trying to stir the pot. And just when things start getting interesting between Miz and Daniel Bryan, we get the Bludgeon Brothers come out to the ring. And they start heading towards the ring, and then they're interrupted by Sanity. Lights go out, the lights are going all over the place, and Sanity is beating the hell out of Kane, Daniel Bryan. One of the things I didn't understand, I didn't see so well, but I don't think The Miz was in the ring. He somehow got out and left or something, but I didn't see him get attacked, or I didn't even see him leave at all. In which we got the New Day coming out. Now, I know to a lot of you out there, you're like, a 10-man tag, really? Right before Extreme Rules? I don't know. This led to Paige coming to the ring, and I love when Paige comes out. Ever since she's become general manager, most of the time when she comes out, she typically has good news for us. So she announces a 10-man tag. You know, the Bludgeons, Sanity versus Daniel Bryan, Kane, and New Day. So following that segment, in which the entire ring was completely, well, not the ring, but everybody in the ring was completely destroyed by Sanity and the Bludgeon Brothers. We move on from that to Shinsuke Nakamura versus AJ Styles Part 7 or 8, or I've lost count as to how many damn times. My question was this. What is the purpose in this? What is the purpose on having Shinsuke against AJ again? Number one, the title was not on the line. Okay, so it's just AJ versus Shinsuke match, and this whole WrestleMania rematch bullshit is bullshit, because they've wrestled at multiple pay-per-views. They've wrestled on Smackdown before. Like, I don't see how them fighting again. Well, I mean, you see, because in the match, Shinsuke and AJ go outside the ring. Aiden English goes to get involved, and then AJ Styles punches Aiden English, and then Shinsuke Nakamura goes to hit him with the Kinshasa, and then ends up hitting Aiden English. Rusev gets involved, causes a disqualification, and then we get Rusev, AJ Styles, and Shinsuke Nakamura in the ring, and he's holding on to AJ, and Shinsuke's lining up for the Kinshasa, only to have Jeff Hardy come to the ring, clear the ring, and Paige comes out and announces it's going to be a tag team match. It's like, if you wanted to do that, why didn't you do AJ Styles against Jeff Hardy? We haven't seen that yet. And that way you still could have, because I feel like having Shinsuke against AJ again, I feel like we need some breathing room from all that. Maybe later down the line, I love watching them wrestle, but at the same time, I feel like it was too soon. I feel like we need some time, we need some air between these matches. I feel like we need some time between these matches. And we get Rusev, who hits Jeff Hardy with the Machka kick and pins him for the 1-2-3. Once Rusev and Jeff Hardy showed up, we didn't see much action from Shinsuke and AJ. And if you really wanted to, I know they're trying to create more heat between AJ and Rusev going into Extreme Rules. I feel like there's so many more ways you could have done that. Like I said, AJ against Jeff Hardy. I really feel like Shinsuke versus Jeff Hardy at Extreme Rules. I know it's going to be a good match, but what I'm saying is I really think that we could have created heat for the WWE Championship with somebody else. Hell, throw Samoa Joe in the mix. Maybe Andrade Cien Almas. There's plenty of guys on the roster. What about Cesaro or Sheamus? We haven't seen them in months. So then we get, okay, you gotta understand. I love SmackDown. I love watching SmackDown every week. Like, NXT is the best that WWE puts out, and then it's like SmackDown, and then at the very bottom is the god-awful Raw. And granted, SmackDown is not the best WWE program, but it's my favorite. It's got all my favorite superstars on there. Shinsuke, AJ, Rusev, and Jeff Hardy, and the New Day, and the Bludgeons, and Andrade Cien Almas. We got Sanity now. Like, there's so many good superstars. Oh, we got Asuka, Becky Lynch, Naomi. We got so many good superstars, and that's why SmackDown's my favorite. And SmackDown tends to be better than Raw every week. So, when Raw has kicked us in the face and kicked us in the nuts, I look to SmackDown and I'm like, come on, SmackDown. Give us something good. And lately, they've been doing real good. And then this week, I'm like, really? A lumberjack match with James Ellsworth and Asuka. Okay? You got to understand something, okay? Asuka is my absolute favorite women's wrestler. She's absolutely amazing in the ring. She was undefeated in NXT. She was on top of the fucking world, bro. She had one of the best streaks in wrestling history. And her losing at Money in the Bank to Carmella with this whole James Ellsworth thing. Him dressing up in her mask and cape and shit, and it was one of the dumbest moments in well, maybe not one of the dumbest, because the end of this damn match was pretty stupid, but it was one of the worst ends to a title match I'd ever seen. But I'm like, okay, so you're trying to build Carmella up as a heel. Okay, I get what you're trying to do so that at Extreme Rules, when Asuka wins, it's more of a triumphant victory. Okay. I see what you're doing. I said that same shit about Shinsuke versus AJ. Part 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Going into Money in the Bank. I'm like, okay, all right, they're trying to make this thing even. They're trying to create a good match and make it better every time. And then the ending that we got, which was the best match they had, Shinsuke walks out of there empty-handed. But I will say that after coming back from Japan, which, if you missed it, this past week and a half, WWE was in Japan doing some live events in which we had a really awesome angle, which I really question why this type of stuff wasn't on TV. But Shinsuke Nakamura came to the ring in Japan, right? It's his home country. You know, he gets a round of applause. And he had just gotten bit by this dog. And so he's in the ring and he gets attacked by Samoa Joe, right? But then AJ comes out. AJ comes out to save him, right? So then in the main event, we got AJ Styles versus Samoa Joe, in which at the end of the match, Shinsuke Nakamura came to the ring, hit Samoa Joe with a low blow, and AJ Styles gets the win. Which was really good. And then we have AJ and the club, Gallows and Anderson standing in the ring, asking Shinsuke to join the club. Like, hey, you know, you want to join the club with us? You know, be part of the club. Yeah. Form a new club and hey, especially after everything I know about the Bullet Club now, it sounds ridiculous to call yourselves the club. You can call yourselves, I don't know, Ex-Japan Club or the Villain Club. Oh, no, you can't take that. They've already got t-shirts on that. You could, I don't know, the Good Club, the Bad Club, I don't know. Whatever. The point being, that name is fucking awful. But whatever. Just like Balor Club. To all of you who don't watch New Japan, to all of you who don't know what the Bullet Club is, okay, when Finn Balor comes to I'm getting back to this whole, trust me, I'm getting back to this whole Asuka thing. I promise. Just bear with me. This is something that's been on my chest for a while now, and I need to get it off my chest, okay? Finn Balor comes to the ring, and he does the too sweet, just like the Bullet Club does, because he founded the Bullet Club. But he walks around with his Balor Club shirt, which I think is ridiculous, because all of us who watch New Japan, all of us who know about the Bullet Club, we know what the fuck you're doing. And it's retarded to call it Balor Club when you're the only member of the Balor Club. That'd be like if I called myself the Mountain Club and I was the only member of that club. Just saying. Whatever. Just like Adam Cole in NXT, he has his Undisputed Era. He's another one that if you don't watch New Japan, he came from the Bullet Club too. So, whatever. Okay, I'm getting off on a tangent. Okay, bringing it back. So, the club and AJ Styles, they ask Shinsuke to join the club. And he's like, no, I still got my eyes on the WWE Championship. Which was a brilliant way to end it. Now, why can't we get something like that on WWE television? You did it in Japan. It wasn't on TV. Why can't you take that storyline that AJ and Shinsuke and the club and Samoa Joe, and why can't you put that on TV? That was good. Whatever. I digress. Back to where? Back to Asuka and James Ellsworth. So Asuka is with what they've done with Asuka, the great legend. Like, she didn't even lose in NXT. I've said this before on the Juice. I've said this before. She didn't lose the NXT title, and especially once I get to my NXT review, I'm gonna probably go a little more in depth. But Shayna Baszler talks about the fact that, oh, there's no woman on the roster, there's no woman in wrestling today that can beat me, and I'm like, yeah, son, yeah, there is. Her name is Asuka, and if she went back to NXT, she would beat you to a pulp. I'm just saying, you're a great champion, but don't think you're above the former champions. Just saying. So in the end of this match, Asuka gets James Ellsworth in the Asuka lock. Asuka and Carmella tangle up. They go back and forth, and then Ellsworth hits her with some spray. I don't know what kind of fucking spray this was. Sprayed her in the fucking eyes, and then Carmella hit her with a super kick. I don't know. It was fucking bullshit. Especially the idea of a lumberjack match. Like, I'm not a big fan of lumberjack matches because I typically it kind of ruins the adventure of a match. One of the reasons I love wrestling is, where can the match go? Are we going to go towards the back? Are we going to go on the announce table? Are we going to go against the barricade in the crowd? Where are we going to go? And I feel like with a lumberjack match, there's not too many places you're going to go. You go outside the ring, they're going to throw you back in. And during this match, the women's wrestlers outside the ring, they were fighting and bickering, and at one point, Ellsworth could have really gotten away, and I'm like, wow. Y'all ain't doing your jobs right. I'm just saying, whatever. So after that, we get a stipulation for the Extreme Rules match between Asuka and Carmella, in which James Ellsworth will be propelled above the ring in a shark cage. That's not really extreme, but alright, whatever. Also, before that segment, we got Team Hell No in the New Day backstage, pumping each other up for their match against Sanity and the Bludgeon Brothers. And then another thing that really, I'm like, really? Was at the beginning of the show, Daniel Bryan and Kane are talking about In Sync. And how In Sync will never reunite because JT is too big. And I don't know, like, who's writing this shit, but that was fucking trash. What does In Sync have to do with fucking anything? When was In Sync ever relevant? Whatever. Okay, I'm moving. Because literally, I could keep going with this. But my point being, why is Kane always the rational one? And he's always like, oh, calm down, Daniel, and I'm like, wait a minute, shouldn't that be the other way around? Shouldn't, like, Daniel Bryan be the one that's like, calm down, Kane, shouldn't he be the calming factor? And like Kane's the one that's like, yeah, let's destroy everything and fuck shit up. I'm just saying, maybe that's just my opinion, but I mean, that just seems logical to me. Whatever. We also got Andrade Cien Almas versus Sin Cara finally. Now, to those of you who have been listening to the podcast, for those of you who have been watching Raw and SmackDown, you remember weeks and weeks ago, before Money in the Bank, we were supposed to have this Andrade Cien Almas Sin Cara match, which we just now are finally getting, and apparently we're getting a rematch at Extreme Rules. And the whole idea of this story, the whole idea, for those who have forgot, or for those of you who, it makes perfect sense, you lost interest or you forgot about it because the draw, the story for this whole match has taken weeks and weeks and weeks to the point where we get to the match and everybody's like, what the fuck are they fighting for again? Why are they fighting? I mean, I remember because wrestling is life for me, and I'm always watching wrestling. I'm continually watching wrestling. So I pay attention to that stuff. But to the average wrestling watcher, you probably forgot why the fuck they were even fighting. And I don't blame you. We should have gotten this before Money in the Bank. Hell, we should have gotten this at Money in the Bank. Something. But basically, it breaks down to Andrade feels that Sin Cara and him, when they used to fight together, when they used to be a tag team together, he feels like Sin Cara held him back because he made him wear a mask. Now, to all those who noticed, when he came out to the ring with Zelina Vega, he took off the mask and he was like, hey, Idolo, and doing all that craziness. That's where the whole mask thing comes into play. Was the fact that he feels that Sin Cara was holding him down because he made him wear a mask. And Zelina Vega came around and just voila, with her magic wand, made the mask disappear, and now he's a huge star. It's not really it's not really true, but yeah, you know, that's the story they're rolling with. But we get an impressive match with Sin Cara and Andrade Cien Almas. Andrade Cien Almas dominated this. I really feel like they should have put, someone a bit more on Andrade's level. I think Andrade's one of the best guys on the entire roster. And I feel like you're benching one of your best players. Whatever. And then that leads to our big 10-man tag with Team Hell No and the New Day against Sanity and the Bludgeon Brothers, in which Daniel Bryan pins Eric Young of Sanity to get the win. In which the ending of this match ended with Daniel Bryan putting the trying to light the fire, trying to do the hands in the air and then bring them down and light the fire. And I don't know if it was supposed to be. I don't know if I'm just like emotionally or socially retarded. maybe there's something I didn't understand. Maybe it's like a social cue. Maybe there was something psychological that I didn't quite understand. But that wasn't funny to me. Maybe you did. Maybe to the average viewer it was supposed to be. But I was just kind of left scratching my head like, what the fuck's really going on here? So that was Smackdown this week. Now, let's get to my predictions going into Extreme Rules. All right, let's get to the WWE Championship, which let me just let me just reiterate this. When I was a boy, growing up watching wrestling, pay-per-views meant something. They had a purpose. You know, the Royal Rumble, you know, you crown a champion, or you crown a number one contender amongst 30 other competitors, okay? And they go on to face the champion of their choosing at WrestleMania, okay? WrestleMania, the showcase of the immortals, the crowning jewel of sports entertainment, the crowning jewel of professional wrestling. Okay? It's where all the feuds are supposed to end, and then we go into the next pay-per-view, starting up new feuds. Okay? Money in the Bank is another one where whoever climbs to the top of the ladder, they get a Money in the Bank contract to cash in at any time on the champion of their brand or the champion of their choosing. Okay? Pay-per-views are supposed to mean something. When you're going into a pay-per-view, it's supposed to, the match is going into it is supposed to have some type of meaning. Most of these matches that I'm about to tell you are not extreme. Not Extreme Rules. None whatsoever. And Extreme Rules used to be one of my favorite pay-per-views because all the different crazy extreme matches we get. And it's 2018, and we've got, what, 3 matches on the entire card that are extreme. Just some food for thought. AJ Styles versus Rusev for the WWE Championship. AJ Styles is walking out with the title. That's pretty solid. Rusev, this being his first championship opportunity, he's not going to win. He's not. So I'm going with AJ Styles. Then for the Intercontinental Championship, we got Dolph Ziggler versus Seth Rollins in a 30-minute Iron Man match. That is not an Extreme Rule. It's not. So, we got Dolph Ziggler going in as the champion and Seth Rollins being the challenger. Seth Rollins is walking out the champion. I don't see Dolph Ziggler walking out still Intercontinental Champion. I think they're going to create a feud at this pay-per-view that is going to transcend into SummerSlam between Dolph Ziggler and Drew McIntyre. And especially in this past Raw, we had the seeds being laid down. Also, I'm predicting that Daniel Bryan versus The Miz at SummerSlam is a definite possibility too. But just like the week before Money in the Bank, we got the Shinsuke versus Jeff Hardy match, which ended in a DQ to do what? Be featured on the next pay-per-view. The week before, and like a week to 2 weeks before the pay-per-view. They will lay seeds down for the next pay-per-view. So I think Ziggler's going to lose the title. Seth Rollins will be champion. And we'll get Dolph Ziggler versus Drew McIntyre at SummerSlam. Okay. Alexa Bliss versus Nia Jax in one of the few Extreme Rules matches. It's called an Extreme Rules match, but here's my thing. Back in the day, we used to just call this an anything goes match or a hardcore match. I've never actually heard it called an Extreme Rules match. But whatever. Pretty basically, Alexa Bliss is walking out as champion because we're going to get Alexa versus Ronda at SummerSlam. It's going to happen. This is Nia's last opportunity. She will lose. We will get Alexa Bliss versus Ronda Rousey at SummerSlam. And I do believe Ronda will play a factor in this. So, Asuka versus Carmella with James Ellsworth being suspended in a shark cage. Asuka's walking out with this championship. No doubt in my mind. If Carmella leaves Extreme Rules with this championship, then there is no hope for the women's division on SmackDown. There's just none. And the worst and possible most uneventful match of the entire night, Bobby Lashley versus Roman Reigns in the Who is the Worst on Raw match. That's what I'm calling this. Since there is really no build to this and this rivalry seems quite fake, I'm calling it the Worst on Raw match. You heard it here first. The Worst on Raw match. Roman Reigns is walking out of the... I think Roman Reigns is going to win this one. No. It's going to be Bobby Lashley because more than likely we'll get Bobby Lashley versus Brock Lesnar at SummerSlam. So I'm going with Bobby Lashley on this. For the United States Championship, Jeff Hardy versus Shinsuke Nakamura. That's actually one of the few matches I'm really looking forward to seeing. Shinsuke's walking out, the United States Champion, and I'll tell you why. I've talked before on this podcast about my theory. I call it the L for today for a bigger W tomorrow. In which, for example, oh man. Back in 2017, Baron Corbin won the Money in the Bank briefcase, cashed it in on Jinder Mahal, the current WWE champion, only to lose and then pick up the W against AJ Styles. Then AJ Styles takes that L to pick up the W against Jinder Mahal to win the championship. So basically, you take an L like Shinsuke did against AJ Styles to pick up the W for tomorrow, which will be the United States Championship at Extreme Rules. Bludgeon Brothers versus Team Hell No. Bludgeons are walking out with the titles. I don't see Team Hell No walking out with the tag titles. They have put too much work into building up the Bludgeon Brothers as a phenomenal tag team. The Bludgeons will probably lose it at SummerSlam, but they will not lose it at Extreme Rules. So I'm going with the Bludgeon Brothers on this one. Oh boy, the other tag team match, or the other tag championship match, the Deleter of Worlds versus the B team. The Deleter of Worlds are walking out the champions. Okay, and I'll explain why. The last few times that Matt Hardy has fought Bo Dallas and Curtis Axel, he's taken the L. Typically, but the weeks before a pay-per-view, the last time the competitors of any combination in a feud fight, the winner on that Raw or SmackDown will generally be the loser at the following pay-per-view. So the Deleter Worlds are walking out the champions. And one of the other few Extreme Rules actual Extreme Rules matches, Braun Strowman versus Kevin Owens in a steel cage match. I'm going to go with Kevin Owens. Because he's lost Braun Strowman multiple times, and this type of capacity and this type of match, him escaping the cage, seems legit. So I'm going to go with Kevin Owens. Finn Balor versus Baron Corbin. I could really care less. I'm going to go with Finn Balor on this one. New Day versus Sanity in a tables match in the pre-show. I'm going to give it to the New Day. And finally, Andrade Cien Almas versus Sin Cara. I'm going to go with Andrade. So, now to wrap things up here today, I wanted to talk about the G1 supercard that is coming next April, okay? The WWE is littered with contracts and injuries right now. It's one of the reasons why WWE programming, both Raw and SmackDown, are suffering right now. You know, SmackDown will have a few good weeks, and then we have a bad week, or we have a good week, and then a bad week. Raw is always shit, but I think the main perpetrator, the main reason behind all this is due to injuries and due to contracts. We got Shinsuke Nakamura's contract that's up in January. Daniel Bryan's that's up in September. Oh God, Daniel Bryan. Who else? Who else's contract is? There are quite a few superstars right now that over the next 5 to 6 months, their contracts are up. So therefore, the WWE doesn't know what to do with them. That's why we got this Team Hell No thing coming back. Because they don't know what they're going to do with Daniel Bryan, because they don't know if Daniel Bryan's going to re-sign with WWE. And especially with New Japan on the rise, booking more and more shows in the U.S., and especially with the announcement yesterday that both Ring of Honor and New Japan are going to headline the G1 special April 6, 2019. Who knows? We may see Daniel Bryan go to New Japan. Or go back to Ring of Honor. So, there's a lot up in the air right now. And with the way WWE has been handling their programs and handling their Raw and SmackDown, I can sense it, and I can see, if you look at a wrestler, when they come to the ring, you can tell if they're enjoying their job or if they're not enjoying their job. And you can tell there's a lot of guys and a lot of women on the roster, when they come to the ring, they're not happy to be in the ring, other than Nia Jax and Alexa Bliss, but that's because that's whatever. Most of the roster, you can see it in their mannerisms. It's also why the last few weeks, the wrestlers, they're not moving as fast. They're worrying about injuries. They're worrying about their bodies. When you got all these guys that are getting injuries and falling off because of injuries, and it's putting them out of action. So, all I got to say is this. I think this is an exciting time for wrestling. And I'm excited to see what Ring of Honor and New Japan can do. And I hope that this G1 Supercard, and I hope that the rest of the New Japan events that go on this year puts a fire under WWE's ass to get moving and to get their shit together. Because otherwise, we may see, like I said at the beginning of the podcast, we may see a new Monday Night War. And it'll start out at the pay-per-views. And once Ring of Honor and New Japan, or just New Japan, but I think they want to do it with Ring of Honor as well, once they start dominating the pay-per-views, it's only a matter of time before they start dominating weekly television. And before superstars on WWE, especially those at the end of the year, they're seeing what they're doing, they're seeing the big things that they're doing, and they're like, why am I over here? Why am I over here? Fandango, injured. Breezango can't compete till who knows when. So what is Tyler Breeze supposed to do? Sit on his thumbs? There's a lot of turbulence going on in WWE right now. And we may see a change in tide. We may see a change in landscape of professional wrestling in 2019. I will talk about this more on my next episode, which I will be covering NXT. You know, I might talk a little bit about Lucha Underground. Also, me talking about more news going on in the world of professional wrestling. Thank you so much for joining me today. I am the Mountain Man, Spike on Shadow, and remember, keep the juice flowing, baby. I'll see you next time.